My name is Veyra Solenne, third daughter of the High Sovereign of the Keth Empire, and I am, by all formal measures, completely useless. That is not self-pity speaking. That is the official, documented, stamped and sealed conclusion of the Imperial Court of Keth, delivered to my father on a silver tray during what I was told was a lovely breakfast. I have no wings. Every Keth royal is born with wings. Great, shimmering, silver-veined wings that carry the weight of tradition, duty, and at least 400 years of aerial warfare strategy. I was born without them. So, naturally, they gave me a title with no power, a palace wing with no servants, and a future with no future. A gilded problem, sitting politely in a corner, waiting to become someone else's headache. The war changed that corner arrangement considerably. The Druvak Collective had been eating through the outer systems for 3 years before they reached Keth territory. They did not fight like soldiers. They fought like mathematics, cold and precise and entirely without the decency to be dramatic about it. No declarations. No warnings. Just ships, hundreds of them, swallowing stations whole and pushing forward. Our fleet was good. Our admirals were excellent. Our losses were, according to the court briefings I was not supposed to be attending, catastrophic. I sat in the back of those briefings anyway. Nobody stopped me. Nobody noticed me either, which, honestly, is its own kind of power. That was where I first heard about the humans. They are requesting permission to deploy their vanguard pilots, Admiral Sorell announced, in the tone of a man who had just been offered a hot meal and was debating whether it might also be a trap. The humans. My father said it the way one says, the weather, which is to say, without real commitment. Yes, Sovereign. Earth's coalition has formally offered assistance. They are sending 12 pilots. 12. Sorell paused. Their representative was very specific about that number. 12. 12 pilots, against a collective fleet that had dismantled our 6th and 9th formations like someone pulling petals off a flower. My father agreed, because what else do you do when you are losing badly and someone offers help, even suspicious help? The humans arrived on a transport that looked, frankly, embarrassing. Dented on 3 sides. Patched along the underbelly with what appeared to be different colored metals bolted over older damage, which meant it had been hit before and survived it, which meant it had a history, which was somehow more unsettling than the dents. I was watching from the observation gallery. Not officially. Officially, I was taking a walk. I take a great many walks near strategically significant areas. 12 humans stepped off that transport. They walked like they owned the docking bay, which they absolutely did not, and they looked around at the assembled Keth honor guard with the expressions of people who have arrived at a party and are already deciding which conversations to avoid. Their lead pilot was a woman called Dara Voss. She was not tall by human standards, I was later told, though she was tall by mine, and she carried herself with the specific confidence of someone who has been afraid many times and has simply chosen not to find it interesting anymore. Dark hair, cut short. A scar through her left eyebrow. Jacket covered in patches that each represented, I would learn, something she had survived. She looked up at the gallery. I stepped back. She had already seen me. I do not know why that was alarming. I was a princess standing in a window. She was a pilot standing in a docking bay. These were not complicated positions. And yet, the way she looked at me was not the way people usually looked at me, which was either through me or past me or with the practiced blankness of someone pretending I was not there. She looked at me the way you look at a problem you have not solved yet. Not dismissively. Thoughtfully. Then she smiled, brief and sharp, and turned back to her crew. I told myself it meant nothing. Then the Druvak hit the Sorell station 3 days later, and Admiral Sorell finally did something no Keth commander had ever done before. He gave the humans the left flank and told them to do whatever they wanted with it. Everyone in the briefing room went quiet. Dara Voss said, finally. And then things got very, very interesting. The left flank, for context, was where battles went to finish dying. It was the position every commander quietly handed off when they needed someone to slow the enemy down without admitting they were sacrificing the position entirely. It was a gesture dressed up as an opportunity. Our admirals had been doing it to junior officers for generations. I recognized it immediately, because I had been the left flank my entire life. Dara Voss recognized it too. I could tell by the way she said nothing after Saratha's briefing ended, which was louder than anything she could have said out loud. I found her in the lower corridor outside the war room, studying a projected map of the Sorell approach vectors with the focused stillness of someone doing serious arithmetic in their head. Her crew was scattered behind her, talking in low voices, eating food they had apparently brought from their own ship, and looking entirely too comfortable for people about to fly into a Druvak assault formation. I should not have been in that corridor. I was, again, on a walk. You know what they did, giving you that position, I said. She did not look up from the map. Yep. And you accepted it. Yep. I waited. She kept studying the map. One of her crew, a tall man with red hair and the name Tob stitched onto his jacket, glanced at me with the mild curiosity of someone watching a bird land near their lunch. Why? I asked. Dara Voss finally looked at me. Up close, the scar through her eyebrow was older than I had thought, faded silver white against her skin, the kind that had been there long enough to become part of the face rather than an interruption of it. Because the left flank is the only position where nobody tells you what you cannot do, she said. They gave up on it. That means it is ours. I did not have a response to that. I had spent my entire life being the thing people gave up on. It had never once occurred to me to treat that as a door. The battle at Sorell began 6 hours later. I watched from the command gallery, which I was technically not permitted to enter, through a viewport I had propped open 3 years ago during a different crisis that nobody ever properly resolved. Saratha's main formations engaged the collective head-on, which was correct, and predictable, and was being countered precisely the way the Druvak always countered it, which was by folding around the edges and tightening like a fist. Then the left flank moved. 12 ships. 12 tiny, patched, ridiculous human ships, and they did not hold the line. They did not form up. They scattered, individually, in 12 different directions at once, and the collective targeting systems did what all targeting systems do when faced with too many simultaneous small threats. They hesitated. Just for a moment. Just long enough. Dara Voss took her ship directly through the gap between two Druvak command vessels, close enough that the proximity alarms in our gallery were screaming, fired both flank cannons simultaneously at angles our tactical models said were geometrically pointless, and somehow, impossibly, both shots connected with the same relay junction from opposite sides. The command vessel went dark. The second ship followed it 11 seconds later. Tob, apparently, had been doing the same arithmetic from a different angle. What happened next is described in the official battle record as an unexpected tactical disruption of collective formation cohesion. What it actually looked like, from my propped open viewport, was a Druvak fleet that had spent years eating through systems with perfect mechanical precision suddenly encountering something it had no file on, no counter for, and no patience to calculate around. They pulled back. Not a retreat, not yet, but a pause, and in war a pause is the first word of a much longer sentence. Saratha's formations pushed through the gap. Sorell held. I was still standing at that viewport when Dara Voss's ship docked, considerably more dented than before, and I watched her step off the ramp and immediately sit down on the deck plating because her left leg had taken a hit and she had, apparently, been flying on it for 4 hours without mentioning it. Tob handed her something from a flask. She drank it, made a face, and then laughed. Not a polite laugh. A real one, loose and tired and entirely unconcerned with who was watching. I went down to the docking bay. Officially, I was on a walk. Your leg, I said. It is fine, she said, which was not true but was also, clearly, not the point. You knew they were giving you a losing position. Yes. And you turned it into the only position that mattered. She looked up at me from the floor of the docking bay, flask in hand, leg bandaged badly with what appeared to be part of her jacket, and she said something I have thought about every single day since. Your Highness, the position you are given and the position you decide to hold are two completely different things. Nobody can assign you the second one. I stood there in that docking bay, a princess with no wings, no power, no sanctioned purpose in the empire I was born into. And for the first time in my entire life, I felt something shift, somewhere behind my ribs, like a lock that had been rusted shut for years finally deciding, quietly and without ceremony, to open. I sat down on the deck plating next to her. Tob handed me the flask. It tasted terrible. I laughed anyway. Friends, if you are enjoying our videos and want to watch new and exciting sci-fi and HFY stories every day, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure to turn on the bell icon so you never miss any of our latest uploads. Like the video and share it with your friends as well, so our community can continue to grow and bring you even more amazing content.